Beneath the endless waves of the Pacific Ocean lies a secret so ancient that its origins have been buried in time for millennia. A land so vast, so advanced, that it may have been the cradle of civilization itself. Its knowledge, not just the foundation of humanity's beginnings, but the lost blueprint of everything we know about the universe, nature, and the human spirit. Mu, the name whispered in ancient texts and legends. A civilization so rich in wisdom and mysticism that it could have shaped the future of our world. But where did it go? Mu vanished, erased. One moment, a thriving land of advanced technology, spiritual mastery, and cosmic understanding. The next, a mere echo in the wind, hidden beneath the oceans. What could have destroyed such an advanced civilization? One that understood the stars, the mysteries of life, and the very forces of nature itself. How could it all disappear in a single night? Imagine a world so beautiful, so full of life, that its mountains reached for the heavens, its rivers teemed with mystical energy, and pyramids, aligned with the stars themselves, rose like monuments to the wisdom they had unlocked. The people of Mu, known as the Nakul, were not just builders. They were masters of science, spirituality, and energy, harnessing forces that modern science can barely begin to understand. But then, it was gone, in an instant, and with it, the secrets of the universe. For centuries, explorers and scholars have sought answers to the riddle of Mu. Was it just a myth? A dream passed down through generations? Or did Mu exist, and its legacy still echo in the forgotten corners of our history? The truth is buried beneath the waves, concealed within ancient ruins, mysterious symbols, and the untold stories that remain locked in the memories of the world's oldest cultures. The mystery of Mu unfolds before us, revealing its lost legacy, the secrets it safeguarded, and the truths that could forever transform our understanding of humanity's origins. I'm curious. Where are you tuning in from, and what time is it there? Feel free to share in the comments. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Get cozy. It's time to let your mind wander, whether you're winding down for sleep or simply enjoying the calm. It's truly great having you here. Let's dive in. Far below the endless waves of the Pacific Ocean, a secret as ancient as time itself waits to be uncovered. Mu, the lost continent, the cradle of human civilization. A world so advanced that, if the stories are true, its knowledge was the very foundation of every civilization that followed. Yet, it is a place no one can truly find, buried beneath the depths of time and the sea. Imagine standing in this world. The sun beats down on you, but there is a cool breeze, carrying the scent of flowering trees and the distant sound of a river rushing through the land. The vast plains stretch out endlessly before you, interspersed with towering mountains, their snow-capped peaks visible even from miles away. The people of Mu built cities that felt alive, not just in their structures, but in the way they existed in perfect harmony with nature. Pyramids, temples, and grand palaces stretched from horizon to horizon, each one meticulously crafted with knowledge that seems far ahead of its time. The people who walked this land, the Nakul, weren't just a civilization. They were the masters of knowledge, understanding the stars, the earth, and even the mysteries of life and death. Estimates suggest that Mu's population numbered around 64 million, a thriving society organized into 10 tribes. These people were described as tall and strongly built, with many believed to possess a rare connection to the universe, a harmony between the physical and spiritual realms. Their appearance was said to reflect the advanced state of their civilization, with a spiritual aura that resonated deeply with their understanding of the world around them. Their society was founded on the perfect union of science and spirituality. They had mapped the heavens, built structures that aligned with celestial events, and delved deep into the secrets of the natural world. Their mastery of medicine, astronomy, and mathematics was light years ahead of anything known to us today. But Mu wasn't just a place of knowledge. It was also the birthplace of legends and stories that have lasted for thousands of years. One of the most captivating legends is that of Queen Mu, a figure who, according to Augustus Le Plongeon, was a royal descendant of the Nakul people. Le Plongeon believed that Queen Mu was part of a civilization that existed long before the Mayan pyramids. He suggested that Queen Mu's escape from Mu, after its destruction, led to her founding Egypt, where she imparted the knowledge of Mu to the Egyptians. This connection, according to Le Plongeon, tied the Egyptian Sphinx and the pyramids of Giza directly to Mu. The Sphinx, with its enigmatic expression, is believed by some to represent a connection between these lost civilizations, with its symbolism linked to the sun worshipped by the Nakul people. But this perfect world didn't last. What could have possibly destroyed a civilization so advanced, so in tune with the universe? According to many theories, it wasn't just a disaster. It was a cataclysm, an event so sudden, so devastating, that Mu was swallowed up by the ocean in the blink of an eye. The great civilization, its wisdom, its people, all lost to time, erased from the annals of history, leaving behind only fragments. The idea of Mu didn't appear from nowhere. It started with Augustus Le Plongeon, a French-American archaeologist who, in the late 1800s, began to study the Maya. Le Plongeon wasn't just focused on the Maya. He believed that they were descendants of an even older civilization, one that existed long before the first stone was laid in the Mayan pyramids. Through his study of the Mayan codices, ancient manuscripts filled with strange symbols and astronomical data, Le Plongeon concluded that the Maya were the heirs of a civilization that was destroyed by a great flood. The Nakul people of Mu. Le Plongeon saw something deeper within the Mayan ruins, a link to an ancient motherland that had once been the center of the world's knowledge. He believed the Maya's architecture, their mathematics, and their spiritual practices were inherited from Mu, a gift passed down by survivors who had fled the destruction of their homeland. Then, in the early 20th century, James Churchward would take this idea and expand it into something much grander. Churchward, a British Army officer, became obsessed with the idea of Mu and its disappearance. He claimed to have discovered Nakul tablets, ancient stone inscriptions that, according to Churchward, detailed the history of the lost continent. These tablets, said to be from India and Mexico, spoke of a civilization that was far more advanced than anything we know today. Churchward described Mu as a vast land stretching from the Hawaiian Islands to the Fiji Islands, filled with rivers, mountains, and plains, unlike anything found in the modern world. The people of Mu were not just builders. They were thinkers, scientists, and spiritual leaders, having unlocked the secrets of the universe long before any of the known ancient civilizations. They were the pioneers of humanity's knowledge, the originators of architecture, writing, and even medicine. And then, Churchward claimed, it all vanished. He believed that Mu was destroyed by a massive earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or perhaps some cosmic event that sent the entire continent crashing into the ocean. The survivors, according to Churchward, spread across the world, carrying with them the wisdom of Mu, planting the seeds of advanced civilizations in places like Egypt, Mesoamerica, and India. But while Le Plongeon and Churchward helped shape the mystery of Mu, their theories have been met with skepticism. The Nakul tablets Churchward spoke of have never been verified, and there is no concrete evidence that such a continent ever existed. Despite the captivating ideas and the rich descriptions of Mu, the truth remains buried, like the lost city beneath the sea. The mystery, however, doesn't end here. What happened to the knowledge of Mu? Were the survivors merely scattered across the earth? Or did they carry with them secrets that could have changed the course of human history? The wisdom of Mu is still alive today, hidden in plain sight. In the myths of the Maya, in the architecture of the ancient Egyptians, and in the mysterious symbols scattered across cultures. These pieces of knowledge, whether literal or symbolic, might be the key to understanding the true story of Mu. What was it about Mu that made it so extraordinary? What made this civilization so advanced, so connected to the cosmos, that it seems almost unfathomable to comprehend today? Mu was not just a land. It was a world of enlightenment, a fountain of knowledge that influenced not just the Maya, the Egyptians, and other ancient cultures, but the entire development of human civilization itself. Mu was a land of wonders, and its people, the Naacal, were master craftsmen and visionaries, whose understanding of the natural world was so advanced that it rivals the greatest minds of modern times. Mu was the cradle of humanity's greatest achievements, and yet it remains a place almost entirely lost to history, hidden beneath the waves of the ocean, with only echoes of its legacy preserved in the myths and symbolism of ancient cultures. Let us take a journey back in time to imagine the world of Mu. Picture the vast plains stretching out beneath a warm sun, the air alive with the sounds of nature. In the distance, towering mountains rise up, their peaks hidden by the soft veil of clouds. The land is rich with fertile soil and dense forests, providing the people of Mu with an abundance of natural resources. Rivers, winding like veins through the heart of the continent, bring water to nourish the land. This was a place where the land seemed to give without ever asking for anything in return. A place in perfect balance. But it was not just the land that made Mu extraordinary. It was the civilization that thrived upon it. The Naacal people were not just builders of cities, but pioneers in every sense. They were architects of not only their surroundings, but their very understanding of the world around them. They built cities that were perfectly aligned with the cosmos, with pyramids, temples, and monuments that served as more than just structures. They were instruments of knowledge. These were cosmic machines designed to track the stars, align with celestial bodies, and harness the energies of the universe itself. They had mapped the stars with such precision that their calendars were unrivaled, marking the movement of the heavens in intricate patterns. The Naacal people didn't just observe the cosmos. They lived by it. Their astronomy was so advanced that they not only knew the positions of the planets, but also the eclipses, the solar cycles, and the movements of distant stars. Mu's knowledge of astronomy was light years ahead of any civilization that would follow. Their pyramids were more than just religious structures. They were giant observatories, instruments to measure the precise movements of the cosmos. These temples were aligned to specific constellations and eclipses, ensuring that the entire society could live in harmony with the universe. But the knowledge of Mu was not confined only to the stars. The Naacal people were masters of medicine, understanding the human body in a way that modern science is only beginning to catch up with. They knew how to heal using herbs, energy, and spiritual practices. They had advanced healing techniques, some of which are still incomprehensible to us today. They understood the importance of balance, not just of the physical body, but also of the spirit. They saw no divide between the physical and the spiritual worlds. Both were inextricably linked. Their sacred texts were filled with wisdom about energy flow, and they practiced healing arts that involved the manipulation of life force energy, a concept we are just beginning to understand in modern quantum physics. In fact, their medicine seemed to blend the physical and spiritual realms in ways we can hardly imagine. The people of Mu were able to use spiritual practices to heal their bodies and connect with higher realms of consciousness. Could it be that the Naacal people discovered the secret to spiritual and physical longevity, unlocking the full potential of the human form? They likely held knowledge that could have eradicated disease and prolonged life, possibly even for centuries. But perhaps the greatest achievement of Mu lay in its philosophy, a system of belief that blended science and spirituality into one unified worldview. The Naacal people viewed life as a sacred balance between the physical and the spiritual realms. Their understanding of energy was profound. They believed that everything in the universe was connected, that life force flowed through everything, and that balance between the physical and spiritual was key to harmony. This deep understanding of the cosmos, of the universe's energy, and the human spirit made them the most spiritually and scientifically advanced society the world may have ever known. Their cities, too, were not just physical structures. They were living systems designed with sacred geometry and cosmic harmony. The architecture of Mu was built with such precision that each structure resonated with the natural energies of the earth, amplifying the spiritual energy of its people. Could these ancient cities have been designed not only to survive, but to harness energy from the earth itself? The Nahkel people were not just builders of cities. They were creators of environments that resonated with the vibrations of the universe. Every structure, every building, every pyramid was a vessel of energy designed to connect the people to the universe. The wisdom of Mu spread across the world, influencing the Maya, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and other ancient cultures. Their architectural techniques, their knowledge of the stars, their philosophy of life, and their healing arts were passed down through the survivors of the great cataclysm that destroyed their homeland. But despite their incredible knowledge, the story of Mu is not one of a civilization that simply disappeared. It is a story of a legacy that still echoes through the ancient temples, pyramids, and sacred texts that remain scattered across the globe. The question remains, what happened to Mu? How could a civilization so advanced, so connected to the cosmos, simply disappear overnight? In the next chapter, we will explore the cataclysmic event that wiped Mu from the earth, and the survivors who carried its wisdom across the globe, forever changing the course of human history. How could a civilization that reached such heights of knowledge and spirituality, so perfectly aligned with the cosmos, simply vanish into the sea? How could a land so grand, stretching over 5,000 miles from Hawaii to the Fiji Islands, be swallowed up by the ocean in a single night? The disappearance of Mu has baffled historians, scientists, and theorists for centuries. What happened to a civilization so advanced? It seems almost beyond comprehension today. The answers to these questions are far from clear, but the theories that attempt to explain Mu's sudden fall are both captivating and chilling. One of the most compelling and well-known theories comes from James Churchward, a British Army officer who, in the early 20th century, proposed one of the most famous narratives about Mu's demise. But his theory is just one piece of the puzzle. Churchward believed that Mu's destruction was a result of a cataclysmic natural disaster, specifically a massive earthquake, likely triggered by volcanic eruptions deep beneath the Earth's surface. But Churchward didn't envision this as a simple tremor. He theorized that beneath Mu's vast, fertile plains and towering mountains, there were massive underground chambers, vast caverns that had been trapped beneath the earth for eons, filled with volatile gases. The theory suggests that these chambers had remained dormant, but a sudden shift in the Earth's crust, perhaps caused by an immense cosmic or tectonic disturbance, led to their violent rupture. The gas within these chambers ignited, triggering a chain reaction of devastating earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. As the very core of Mu began to shake, the continent was fractured. The land sank into the ocean, taking with it all of the advanced technologies, wisdom, and spiritual knowledge of the Nahkel people. Churchward's vivid description of this disaster was nothing short of apocalyptic. The entire continent of Mu, with its vibrant cities, flourishing culture, and advanced civilization, disappeared into the sea overnight. And with it, the secrets of the universe, the wisdom that had shaped human understanding, vanished without a trace. While Churchward's theory captivated the public, there were other scholars who proposed alternative explanations, some of which built on geological principles. One such theory is the idea of crustal displacement, introduced by Charles Hapgood in the mid-20th century. Hapgood, a historian and geologist, proposed that the Earth's crust was capable of sudden shifts, a phenomenon that could move entire continents from their original positions. According to Hapgood, Mu might have been located in what is now the Pacific Ocean, but a rapid shift in the Earth's crust caused it to be displaced into the ocean in a single catastrophic event. This sudden shift could have been caused by forces within the Earth's core or triggered by a cosmic alignment, such as a planetary shift or some larger astronomical disturbance. The theory suggests that Mu's landmass was effectively moved, causing it to sink beneath the ocean, erasing it from history in a matter of moments. If this theory is to be believed, Mu was not destroyed by a single earthquake or volcanic eruption, but rather by a massive geological event that restructured the entire planet. The rapid sinking of Mu would explain why no tangible remnants of the continent have been found. There would have been no gradual erosion or decay. It was simply gone, swallowed by the ocean and hidden from view. One of the more speculative and provocative theories about Mu's destruction takes us far beyond the realms of traditional science and into the domain of the extraordinary. Extraterrestrial intervention. Could it be that Mu's advanced civilization was not only influenced by cosmic forces, but that its knowledge was given to them by beings from another world? Some theorists have suggested that the Knuckle people, with their unparalleled knowledge of astronomy, energy manipulation, and architecture, might have been in contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. In this scenario, Mu's destruction might have been the result of a cosmic reckoning. Perhaps the Knuckle people, having mastered technologies beyond Earth's natural capabilities, triggered an unintended consequence by harnessing extraterrestrial energy or knowledge they couldn't fully comprehend. Fringe theorists argue that the destruction of Mu was not a natural disaster, but rather a celestial warning or intervention. The idea is that the Knuckle people were gifted with technologies and wisdom that may have been too powerful, and their downfall came as a result of angering these higher beings. The theory proposes that Mu's advanced technology and knowledge of cosmic forces made them susceptible to manipulation by alien forces, leading to their demise. This theory also connects to the rise of UFO sightings and ancient astronaut hypotheses. The idea is that the advanced technologies of Mu were perhaps too much for earthly civilizations, and the eventual destruction of Mu might have been orchestrated by extraterrestrial beings to maintain cosmic order. Not all theories regarding Mu's disappearance involve extraterrestrial intervention. The crypto-terrestrial hypothesis suggests that the Knuckle people were not visitors from the stars, but rather an advanced Earth-based civilization. According to this theory, Mu's inhabitants were part of a hidden history that has remained concealed from the modern world. The crypto-terrestrial theory postulates that the Knuckle people were highly advanced beings who existed long before modern humanity and lived in isolation. They may have been a secretive race whose knowledge and technologies were far ahead of their time. They could have been custodians of a unique wisdom, one that modern humans were never meant to possess: knowledge of cosmic energy, spiritual enlightenment, and advanced scientific principles. In this version of the theory, the destruction of Mu was not caused by an outside force, but by the Knuckle people's own experiments with energy or knowledge that led to their downfall. The collapse of Mu might have been a result of their own failure to harness powers they didn't fully understand, or the misuse of their advanced technologies. This theory aligns with the concept of life force energy, with the Knuckle people possibly having manipulated this force in ways that led to catastrophic consequences. The theory of a cosmic shift aligns with some of the ancient texts and oral histories found around the world. According to this theory, the destruction of Mu could have been the result of a massive cosmic event, a celestial shift that triggered an alignment of the planets, or the appearance of a comet or asteroid that disrupted the balance of the Earth. Many ancient cultures, including the Egyptians and the Sumerians, have myths surrounding great celestial events that led to the destruction of entire worlds. Could the fall of Mu have been tied to one such event? The Knuckle people were experts in astronomy and cosmic energy, and their ability to align structures with the stars might have made them more vulnerable to cosmic forces they could not control. If Mu's destruction was the result of a cosmic catastrophe, this could explain why no physical evidence has been found. The entire continent might have been wiped out by forces that we have yet to fully understand. Forces that, despite being studied for millennia, still elude modern science. Perhaps the great flood myths from across the world are echoes of this cosmic event, with survivors of Mu spreading their wisdom and knowledge to distant lands, carrying the seeds of civilization with them. What became of the survivors of Mu? How could a people so advanced, who had mastered the secrets of the earth and sky, endure the cataclysm that swallowed their homeland? The answer, according to legend, is that they did not vanish. Instead, they fled across oceans and continents, carrying with them the wisdom of a lost world, knowledge that would shape civilizations for millennia to come. Imagine the Nako people leaving the ruins of Mu, their homes swallowed by the waves, their temples reduced to rubble. In the chaos, they salvaged what they could: scrolls, tablets, and sacred texts, their knowledge of astronomy, architecture, medicine, and spirituality carefully preserved. They set out across the seas in primitive yet resilient vessels, guided by the stars they had once mapped from their own land. Every wave that rocked their boats was a reminder of what they had lost, yet also a beacon of the future they were about to create. Their journeys took them far and wide. Some theorists suggest that these survivors landed in Egypt, where they shared with the locals the secrets of pyramid construction and cosmic alignment. Could it be that the towering Great Pyramid of Giza, aligned so perfectly with the stars, is more than a tomb? Perhaps it is the echo of Mu's lost knowledge, translated into stone by a people who remembered the mathematical and astronomical mastery of their homeland. Further across the world, other survivors may have reached Central America, influencing the Maya and Aztec civilizations. The precise calendar systems, the monumental temples, and the ritualistic knowledge of these cultures bear a curious resemblance to the teachings attributed to Mu. The Naka wisdom, encoded in symbolic forms, might have been translated into local languages, adapted to new environments, and passed down through generations, leaving a trail of mystery and hidden knowledge across continents. The spread of the Naka language is one of the more fascinating aspects of this legend. Writers like James Churchward and Louis Jacoliot suggest that remnants of Mu's language and teachings can be traced through ancient scripts and Sanskrit texts, influencing Hindu philosophy, Brahmin traditions, and even the rituals of the East. Could the philosophical foundations of Hinduism, the intricate cosmology, the concept of cycles, and the deep reverence for universal order be a direct inheritance of Mu's wisdom? If so, the legacy of this lost civilization extends far beyond architecture. It lives in thought, spirituality, and human consciousness itself. The story of Mu's survivors was further expanded by Helena Blavatsky and the Theosophical movement, who wove these ideas into a larger tapestry of human spiritual evolution. According to Theosophy, the survivors of Mu were not simply refugees. They were keepers of sacred knowledge, tasked with guiding humanity along its evolutionary path. Their flight across oceans was not just physical. It was symbolic, a journey of enlightenment, carrying cosmic truths into new lands, sowing the seeds of future civilizations. Yet, as fascinating as this narrative is, it leaves us with an unnerving question. How much of it is fact, and how much is myth? The notion that the survivors influenced civilizations from Egypt to Central America to India straddles the line between history and speculation. And yet, the parallels are striking. The same architectural precision, the same cosmological knowledge, the same mystical traditions repeating across continents. Could it be mere coincidence, or a testament to the enduring influence of Mu's people? In every ancient temple, in every pyramid and sacred site, we might glimpse the fingerprints of Mu. And though the continent itself was claimed by the sea, the wisdom of its survivors lived on, hidden in plain sight, encoded in language, mathematics, art, and ritual. Every whispered legend, every puzzling alignment of a temple or pyramid may trace back to a people who once commanded knowledge far beyond their time. And yet, the story does not end here. If the survivors carried their wisdom across the world, then the next question arises. What secrets remain hidden in the lost teachings they brought with them? What truths lie buried in the myths of Egypt, the temples of the Maya, or the sacred texts of India? Truths that might unlock the full story of Mu and its extraordinary civilization. The search for Mu has left behind a trail of enigmatic clues, unverified texts, and curious artifacts that continue to spark the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and adventurers alike. Among the most mysterious of these are the Naql tablets, ancient clay and stone tablets that are said to contain the history of Mu, chronicling its rise, its knowledge, and its eventual downfall. These tablets are thought to have been discovered by James Churchward, the man who first popularized the concept of Mu as a real physical place. These tablets, inscribed with strange symbols and characters, are believed to be the remnants of a long-lost civilization that once spanned vast oceans. But despite their allure, these tablets remain unverified. No one has ever conclusively proven their authenticity. Some claim they are the key to unlocking the mysteries of Mu, while others argue they are nothing more than elaborate hoaxes or misinterpretations. The truth remains elusive, a tantalizing piece of the puzzle that could reshape our understanding of ancient history. The Naql tablets are like a distant whisper, calling us to listen closely, but their message has not yet been deciphered. But it is not just these tablets that fuel the belief in Mu's existence. Across the ancient world, we find myths and stories that seem to echo the idea of a vast, sunken continent. The Troano Codex and the Madrid Codex, two ancient Mayan manuscripts, have long been the subject of debate. These codices are full of intricate symbolism, tales of gods, floods, and civilizations lost to the sea. Some scholars, particularly those with a deep interest in the theory of lost continents, argue that these texts contain references to Mu. The codices tell of a great flood that destroyed the world, a flood so catastrophic that it wiped out entire cities and civilizations. The survivors of this flood, according to some interpretations, went on to found new civilizations, carrying with them the knowledge and culture of Mu. The idea is compelling. These stories, passed down through generations, seem to hint at a much larger, more ancient narrative than we can fully comprehend. But not all agree with these interpretations. Critics argue that the flood stories in the codices are nothing more than mythological representations of natural disasters, not historical accounts of an actual lost continent. They say these stories have been distorted over time, reimagined by different cultures to fit their own beliefs and customs. Whether or not the Troano and Madrid codices truly reference Mu is still a matter of intense debate, but the possibility lingers, drawing us closer to the mystery of a submerged world that might once have been. Global symbols and myths also provide tantalizing evidence for the existence of Mu. From the pyramids of Egypt to the ancient temples of India, from the swastika symbols in Hindu art to the flood myths of cultures around the world, we see startling similarities. These symbols, these motifs, appear across vast distances, unconnected by geography or time, yet they share a remarkable commonality. The pyramid, a symbol of divine connection and cosmic order, appears in both Egypt and Mesoamerica. The swastika, once a symbol of prosperity and harmony, appears in ancient Indian art and in cultures as distant as the Native American tribes. And then there are the flood myths, the story of a great deluge that wipes out humanity, only for a few survivors to rebuild civilization. These myths are found in nearly every culture, from the Bible's story of Noah's Ark to the ancient Sumerian myth of Gilgamesh, and even in the Popol Vuh of the Maya. Many scholars argue that these similarities are nothing more than the product of shared human experience, that ancient peoples, separated by time and space, all encountered similar natural disasters and constructed similar myths to explain them. But to others, these similarities point to something more profound, something deeper than mere coincidence. What if these shared symbols and myths are the remnants of a lost civilization, a civilization that spanned continents, that influenced the development of all these cultures? What if Mu was the source of these ideas, the first civilization to understand the mysteries of the universe, passing down its knowledge through these symbols that have survived the ravages of time? The evidence is compelling, but the mystery remains. Are these shared symbols just the result of cultural diffusion? Or are they the echoes of a long-lost world? Adding to this mystery are the underwater structures that have been discovered off the coasts of Japan, the Caribbean, and other places across the world. One of the most famous of these is the Yonaguni Monument, located off the coast of Yonaguni Island in Japan. The monument, with its large terraced steps and sharp angles, has been the subject of intense debate since it was first discovered in 1986. Some claim that the Yonaguni Monument is a man-made structure, the remnants of a lost city that once thrived beneath the waves. The sharp geometric lines and regular terraces appear to be too deliberate to be natural formations. If this is true, the monument could be one of the oldest and most significant archaeological finds in history. But not all agree. Geologists and skeptics argue that the monument is nothing more than a natural rock formation, shaped by the forces of erosion over thousands of years. They point to the irregularity of some of the edges and the lack of definitive evidence to suggest that humans had anything to do with its creation. Yet, despite these objections, the debate continues. The Yonaguni Monument stands as a silent testament to the mystery of the deep, its origins unknown, its true nature still up for interpretation. Could it be the remains of Mu? Or is it merely the result of natural forces? The answer remains just out of reach, waiting to be uncovered. Linguistic hypotheses also offer fascinating clues, though they are just as controversial. Some researchers claim that there are linguistic connections between the Mayan language and Turkish, as well as between Hawaiian and the languages of ancient civilizations. These linguistic parallels are not easily dismissed. For example, certain words in Mayan and Turkish appear to share similar meanings, while similarities between Hawaiian and ancient languages suggest a common root. Some believe that these linguistic links point to the idea that these languages all originated from a single, long-lost civilization, Mu. The argument is that if Mu was indeed the source of all human culture, its language and ideas would have spread across the world, leaving traces in the languages of distant peoples. But not everyone is convinced. Critics argue that these similarities are the result of coincidence, or that they stem from the spread of ideas and culture over time, not from a shared origin. They suggest that the similarities between these languages are not as profound as some claim, and that they can be explained by cultural diffusion and the natural evolution of language. These linguistic hypotheses remain a point of contention, yet they continue to spark interest and debate. Are these connections evidence of Mu's existence, or are they simply the result of chance and misinterpretation? The linguistic ties are compelling, but the truth remains elusive, just as the origin of Mu itself continues to elude us. Each piece of evidence, each claim, only deepens the mystery of Mu. Whether it is the unverified tablets, the ancient codices, the symbols that appear across cultures, the underwater monuments, or the linguistic connections that hint at a shared origin, all these elements come together to form a picture that is both tantalizing and perplexing. Some argue that the evidence is circumstantial, that it is the product of a search for meaning in a world full of uncertainties. Others believe that the truth is hidden in plain sight, waiting for the day when we finally uncover it. The search for Mu is far from over. Its story unfolds across centuries, its mystery as elusive as ever. But as long as the clues remain, the search will continue. Mu is often conflated with two other legendary lost continents, Lemuria and Atlantis. These three mythical lands, though separated by oceans, are frequently linked in the search for humanity's true origins. Churchward and others have merged these concepts, suggesting that Mu was the Pacific counterpart to Lemuria, while Atlantis was its Atlantic twin. According to this view, all three lands were once thriving civilizations, each with its own unique culture and knowledge, but all sharing one common fate: destruction by cataclysmic events. Lemuria, with its location believed to be in the Indian or Pacific Ocean, shares similarities with Mu, from the concept of an advanced society to its eventual sinking beneath the waves. Atlantis, as described by Plato, was a powerful and wealthy civilization that ultimately vanished in a single day of destruction. Churchward believed that these three civilizations were part of a larger, interconnected history, their ruins scattered across the earth, waiting to be discovered. Some argue that these lands represent different stages of the human journey, each civilization contributing to the knowledge and culture that would eventually lead to modern societies. But while these connections are intriguing, they remain speculative, with little concrete evidence to support the idea that these three legendary lands were ever truly one. The destruction of Mu, like Lemuria and Atlantis, is often told through the lens of global flood myths that appear in various cultures across the world. The story of Mu's demise, a great land swallowed by the sea in a single night, echoes tales from the Bible, the Popol Vuh, and Hindu traditions, where floods are said to have wiped out entire civilizations. In the Bible, Noah's Ark survives the deluge that destroys all life on earth, a narrative that parallels the sinking of Mu and the idea of a select few surviving to repopulate the earth. The Mayan Popol Vuh also contains a similar story, with gods intervening in a catastrophic flood that nearly wiped out humanity, only to rebuild the world afterward. In Hindu traditions, the story of Manu, the first man, parallels the flood myths of other cultures, with Manu's boat carrying him and the animals to safety as the world floods. These flood stories, while unique to each culture, share a common theme: a great cleansing, a divine intervention, and the rebirth of civilization. Many see these global flood myths as evidence that cultures from different parts of the world experienced similar cataclysmic events, whether through natural disasters or divine punishment. Some believe that the story of Mu's destruction is part of this larger, universal myth, the remnants of a civilization so advanced that its downfall became immortalized in the flood myths of humanity. Other lost lands, similar to Mu, have also been proposed throughout history. One such land is Pan, introduced by John Newbrough, an American spiritualist who wrote about a lost civilization in the Pacific Ocean in his 1882 work, Osp, A New Bible. According to Newbrough, Pan was a land that existed before Mu and Atlantis, with its people being the first to explore the earth and establish knowledge. This land, like Mu, was destroyed, but its survivors went on to influence other ancient civilizations. Newbrough's Pan theory fits neatly into the narrative of ancient lost continents, adding to the growing mythology of civilizations that existed long before recorded history. Then there is Rudis, proposed by Louis Jacoliot, a French occultist and writer who connected Mu to the concept of Atlantis. Jacoliot argued that Rudis was the precursor to both Mu and Atlantis, a land that sank into the ocean long before the other two. Rudis, he claimed, was a place of advanced knowledge and spiritual practices, with its people sharing a common heritage with the Egyptians and the Atlanteans. Jacoliot's work added another layer to the mythology, blending the idea of Mu with the esoteric traditions of the time, linking it not only to ancient history, but also to the occult and mystical practices. In Hindu traditions, another lost land is described, Kumari Kandam. This concept of a sunken land, believed to have existed in the Indian Ocean, shares similarities with Mu, particularly in its depiction of a once thriving civilization that sank beneath the waves. Kumari Kandam is mentioned in Tamil literature, where it is said that the land was inhabited by an advanced society that held knowledge of the stars and the earth. The civilization of Kumari Kandam is said to have been the cradle of the Tamil people, with its survivors spreading their culture and language to the rest of the world. Like Mu, Kumari Kandam is seen as a place of profound wisdom, a lost world whose legacy lives on in the myths and legends of the region. Each of these lost lands, Pan, Rudis, And Kumari Kandam shares common themes with Mu: advanced civilizations, vast knowledge, and cataclysmic destruction. While the evidence for these lands is as elusive as the truth behind Mu, they all contribute to the grand narrative of humanity's forgotten past, where great civilizations rose and fell, their legacies carried forward in the myths, symbols, and oral traditions passed down through the ages. Could Mu, Lemuria, Atlantis, Pan, Rudas, and Kumari Kandam all be part of a larger, interconnected history? Or are they simply the product of human imagination, each myth echoing the others in a reflection of our deep-seated desire to uncover the lost chapters of our past? The question remains, and the search for the truth continues. Geological evidence from plate tectonics presents a compelling argument against the existence of Mu as a submerged continent in the Pacific. Plate tectonics, the scientific principle that explains the movement of Earth's lithospheric plates, shows no evidence of a massive landmass sinking rapidly into the ocean, as suggested by theories of Mu's sudden disappearance. Continental plates, which make up the landmasses of the Earth, do not submerge quickly or drastically under normal geological conditions. The Earth's crust moves slowly, generally at rates of a few centimeters per year, shifting continents over millions of years. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other seismic events can cause localized shifts and landform changes, but they do not account for the disappearance of entire continents. The sudden, catastrophic sinking of a massive landmass like Mu in one night, as described in the myths surrounding it, directly contradicts everything we know about the geological processes of the planet. If Mu existed in the Pacific Ocean and were destroyed by seismic forces, it would have left some geological trace signs of rapid subsidence or underwater seismic activity. Yet, no such evidence has been found. For example, the subduction zones, where tectonic plates collide and one plate sinks beneath the other, occur over thousands or millions of years, not within a matter of hours or days. The theory of Mu's destruction by a single night of cataclysm is not supported by the long, gradual movements observed in the Earth's tectonic processes. Furthermore, there is no trace of a sudden, dramatic sinking of an entire continent in the ocean floor's geological layers, which would have been expected if Mu had existed and disappeared as described. Continents, whether they are sinking or drifting, undergo slow, observable changes, not the instantaneous vanishing of an entire landmass. The theory of Mu's rapid submergence is simply incompatible with the science of geology. The absence of concrete evidence only deepens the skepticism surrounding the existence of Mu. Despite centuries of searching, no verified artifacts, texts, or languages have been found that conclusively support the notion of a lost continent in the Pacific. Claims made by proponents of Mu's existence often rely on anecdotal evidence, vague interpretations of myths, and the possible misreading of ancient texts. But nothing definitive has been uncovered to confirm Mu's existence. The supposed Nakul tablets, said to contain the history of Mu, remain unproven and largely inaccessible. These tablets, which were purportedly discovered in India by James Churchward, the leading proponent of the Mu theory, have not been examined by credible archaeological institutions or subjected to rigorous scientific analysis. Without tangible, verifiable evidence, the claims surrounding these tablets remain speculative and controversial at best. Similarly, the references to Mu in ancient texts such as the Troano Codex and the Madrid Codex, Mayan manuscripts filled with complex mythology and symbolic references, have been interpreted by some as allusions to a lost continent. However, the interpretations are far from universally accepted. Scholars and experts point out that these texts contain rich mythology, but they do not explicitly mention Mu or any similar continent. While some argue that these codices contain veiled references to a submerged land, many historians and linguists believe the flood myths contained within these texts are more likely metaphorical or symbolic, not literal accounts of an actual historical disaster. The absence of a direct reference to Mu in these ancient texts suggests that the connections made by some theorists are speculative and based on a desire to find evidence for an already established belief rather than objective analysis. In addition, the global flood myth stories of a great deluge that wiped out entire civilizations are often cited as evidence that Mu, Lemuria, and Atlantis were once real places. While it's true that many cultures across the world share flood stories, these narratives are typically explained as cultural expressions of common human experiences rather than as evidence of a single, catastrophic event linked to a lost civilization. Flood myths, as seen in the Bible, the Popol Vuh of the Maya, and the ancient Hindu texts, often symbolize purification, renewal, and the cyclical nature of life, not literal historical accounts. If Mu existed, the story of its destruction would surely have been preserved more clearly in the historical record, especially given the supposed advanced state of its civilization. The argument that these myths are shared remnants of a singular real event, like the sinking of Mu, oversimplifies the complexity of global mythologies, overlooking the cultural and environmental factors that could have shaped such stories independently across different societies. The claims of cultural similarities between distant civilizations, such as the pyramids in Egypt and Mesoamerica, or the swastika symbol in Hindu art and Native American traditions, are often cited as evidence of Mu's influence. However, these similarities can be explained through more likely means, such as cultural diffusion and parallel development. The idea that ancient civilizations around the world shared a common origin in Mu fails to account for the independent development of civilizations based on local resources, geographic conditions, and societal needs. The pyramidal structure, for example, is an architectural form that appears in numerous cultures not because of direct contact, but because it is a stable, durable design that can be achieved independently by any civilization capable of stone construction. The swastika, a symbol of good fortune and spiritual wholeness, appears in cultures spread across the globe, but this symbol's meaning varies widely across different cultures and is not evidence of a singular ancient culture. These shared symbols are better understood as expressions of common human experience, not proof of a lost continent. Adding to this skepticism are the underwater structures such as the Yonaguni Monument in Japan, which some believe are remnants of Mu's advanced civilization. The Yonaguni Monument consists of large stone formations that some claim are man-made, with sharp angles and terraces resembling ancient ruins. However, geologists argue that these formations are the result of natural geological processes, including erosion and sediment deposition, not human construction. The sharp edges and terraces, while impressive, could very well be the result of natural forces acting over millennia. Without concrete evidence of human involvement, it is difficult to claim the Yonaguni Monument as proof of Mu. While the idea of submerged structures is tantalizing, the notion that they are remnants of an advanced civilization is, at best, speculative and not supported by solid scientific investigation. Finally, the comparison between Mu's supposed dramatic submergence and the real-life example of Zealandia, a submerged continent in the Pacific Ocean, offers a stark contrast. Zealandia, which includes New Zealand and surrounding landmasses, sank gradually over millions of years, yet it contains no evidence of advanced human civilization. The land sunk slowly, following the normal processes of plate tectonics, and was submerged over vast periods of time. The absence of any sophisticated technological or cultural remnants in Zealandia stands in direct opposition to the theory of Mu, where the surviving remnants are said to have been advanced and highly developed. If Mu were truly a civilization of such complexity, it should have left behind more substantial evidence than vague myths and unverified artifacts. The slow, geological sinking of Zealandia serves as a reminder that nature's processes are not dramatic and instantaneous, but rather gradual and measured, making the rapid disappearance of Mu even more implausible. The lack of verified evidence, the geological impossibility of a submerged continent, and the dismissal of Mu by mainstream scientists all point to the conclusion that Mu is more a product of myth and speculation than history and fact. While the idea of a lost civilization is undeniably captivating, the absence of concrete proof and the overwhelming scientific evidence against its existence make it clear that Mu remains, for now, an intriguing but unfounded mystery. James Churchward's theory, first proposed in the 1920s and 1930s, suggests that Mu was a vast Pacific continent, home to a technologically superior and spiritually advanced civilization. Churchward, who dedicated much of his life to the study of Mu, believed that this lost land was not only a cradle for human culture and knowledge, but also a place of extraordinary achievement in science, engineering, and spirituality. He claimed that the survivors of Mu's destruction migrated across the globe, spreading their advanced knowledge to ancient civilizations in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Americas. According to Churchward, these survivors carried with them the wisdom of Mu, laying the foundation for some of the world's most notable ancient cultures. Churchward's theory proposed that Mu's advanced society was the source of many cultural elements seen across the world, from their technologies to their religious beliefs. His books, especially The Lost Continent of Mu and The Children of Mu, further developed these ideas, emphasizing Mu's role as the true birthplace of humanity's highest achievements, both intellectual and spiritual. This idea of Mu as the origin of all human progress captivated imaginations, offering a grand narrative of a world connected by shared wisdom. But the theory remained speculative, with little evidence to back up Churchward's claims. Central to Churchward's hypothesis was the Nakul tablets, which he claimed to have discovered in India. These ancient clay tablets, according to Churchward, chronicled the history of Mu, detailing everything from the civilization's rise to its eventual destruction. The Nakul tablets were believed to be written by the ancient Nakul Brotherhood, a secret society that purportedly held the keys to the lost knowledge of Mu. Churchward presented these tablets as proof of his theories, claiming they were a direct link to the civilization's past. He also introduced a set of 2,500 stone tablets from Mexico, which he suggested corroborated the Nakul tablets' historical accounts of Mu. These tablets, Churchward argued, were not merely inscriptions, they were repositories of Mu's wisdom, containing everything from advanced mathematics to spiritual teachings. Yet, despite Churchward's passion and his extensive writings, no verified evidence has ever been found to support the existence of the Nakul tablets or the stone tablets from Mexico. The tablets Churchward claimed to have discovered remain unproven, and no archaeological records have confirmed their existence, leaving Churchward's claims surrounded by mystery and skepticism. Alongside these historical and archaeological hypotheses, Churchward and others who subscribed to his ideas proposed that Mu was the birthplace of a unique and advanced spiritual system. Mu's religious framework was said to be monotheistic, with beliefs in reincarnation, soul perfection, and an enlightened spiritual path. Central to the spiritual life of Mu was the worship of the sun god, Re, who Churchward claimed originated in Mu before spreading to Egypt and influencing the development of both Egyptian religion and later religious systems around the world, including Hinduism and Christianity. Churchward believed that Ra, the sun god, was not just a deity, but a symbol of spiritual enlightenment, representing the highest form of knowledge and understanding in Mu's religion. According to this theory, Mu's influence on spiritual traditions around the world was profound, setting the foundation for the monotheistic beliefs that would later emerge in civilizations across the globe. This spiritual connection between Mu and the world's great religions provided a unifying element for Churchward's theory, but it also raised more questions than answers. Without concrete evidence linking Mu's religious beliefs to global religions, these claims remain speculative and difficult to substantiate, leaving the theory open to criticism. Another early proponent of the Mu theory, Augustus Le Plongeon, took a different approach, linking Mu to the ancient civilization of Atlantis. Le Plongeon, an amateur archaeologist and researcher, equated Mu with Atlantis, asserting that both were once great civilizations of unparalleled knowledge and power. He believed that Mu, like Atlantis, was destroyed by earthquakes, and that survivors of Mu's destruction spread across the globe, founding cultures in Egypt and Mesoamerica. Le Plongeon claimed that Queen Mu, a mythical figure from Mu, had fled the sinking landmass and eventually founded the Egyptian civilization. According to Le Plongeon, the pyramids of Egypt were a direct result of Mu's influence, with the architectural designs and symbolic elements drawn from the lost continent's advanced knowledge. Le Plongeon's theory merged the ideas of Mu and Atlantis, creating a compelling but controversial narrative that suggested both civilizations were part of a larger global history. But like Churchward's theory, it was based on limited evidence and often dismissed by mainstream scholars. Among the fringe theories that have emerged around Mu, one of the most speculative involves the idea that Mu may have been an extraterrestrial colony, with its inhabitants coming from beyond Earth. This ancient alien hypothesis suggests that Mu's technologically superior civilization was not of this world, and that its survivors, after the destruction of their home, went on to teach advanced knowledge to early human civilizations. The theory is part of the broader ancient astronaut movement, which posits that extraterrestrial beings have been influencing humanity's development for millennia. Proponents of this theory argue that the advanced technologies attributed to Mu, its science, architecture, and spiritual knowledge, were so far beyond what was possible in ancient times that they must have been imparted by extraterrestrial visitors. This idea has captivated those who seek to explain the origins of human knowledge and civilization through the lens of alien contact, with some even linking UFO sightings and strange ancient technologies to the influence of beings from other worlds. However, this hypothesis remains firmly within the realm of speculative fiction, lacking solid evidence to support the idea that Mu was, in fact, an extraterrestrial colony. The idea of ancient aliens teaching humanity advanced technologies is an alluring one, but it does not stand up to scrutiny in the face of archaeological and historical research. A variant of the extraterrestrial hypothesis proposes that the inhabitants of Mu were not aliens at all, but rather cryptoterrestrials, advanced Earth-based beings who lived in a hidden, isolated society and interacted with early human civilizations in ways that are not fully understood. This cryptoterrestrial theory suggests that the people of Mu were not extraterrestrial in origin, but were instead a highly evolved species of humans who existed long before modern humans, living in harmony with nature and developing technologies that were far ahead of their time. According to this hypothesis, these cryptoterrestrials were responsible for some of the anomalous technologies and artifacts found in ancient cultures, explaining the advanced knowledge and mysterious artifacts that have been attributed to civilizations like Egypt, the Maya, and Mesopotamia. Like the extraterrestrial theory, this idea remains speculative, with no evidence to confirm the existence of such an advanced civilization that existed in secrecy before modern humanity. Cryptoterrestrials are often seen as a more plausible explanation than extraterrestrials, as they do not rely on the assumption of alien visitors, but the idea still lacks concrete proof and is often viewed as another form of pseudoscience. These various theories surrounding Mu, whether it is Churchward's vision of a technologically advanced civilization, Le Plongeon's merger of Mu and Atlantis, or the extraterrestrial and cryptoterrestrial hypotheses, all paint a picture of a lost world, a world of immense power and wisdom, whose survivors went on to shape the civilizations we know today. Yet, despite their intrigue, these theories remain speculative and are often dismissed by mainstream scholars who require evidence that can stand up to rigorous scientific scrutiny. Whether Mu was a true historical civilization, a blending of myths and legends, or the product of human imagination seeking an answer to our origins, it remains one of the most captivating mysteries in the study of ancient history. The search for Mu, like the search for other lost civilizations, is an ongoing quest, one that continues to fuel the imagination and challenge our understanding of the past. The idea of a lost continent, including Mu, emerged during the mid-19th century as scholars and theorists sought to explain unexplained phenomena that defied traditional scientific understanding. These phenomena, from strange biogeographical anomalies to the striking similarities in cultural practices across distant continents, sparked imaginations and led to speculation about a forgotten civilization. One of the most puzzling mysteries of the time was the distribution of species like lemurs, which were found only in specific regions like Madagascar and parts of Southeast Asia. This distribution seemed too peculiar to be explained by the usual theories of migration or natural evolution. The idea that these species had once roamed a now submerged continent began to take hold, giving birth to the concept of a lost land that spanned vast oceans, a land that would later be identified as Mu. This theory of a submerged continent, offering an explanation for biogeographical oddities, became part of a broader narrative about humanity's distant and mysterious past. In 1864, the British zoologist Philip Sclater introduced the concept of Lemuria, a lost landmass that he believed once connected India to Madagascar. Sclater's theory was initially based on the need to explain the strange distribution of species like lemurs, which could not have crossed the ocean through normal means. He proposed that Lemuria was a large, now submerged continent that had existed in ancient times, possibly explaining the similarities between species found in these distant regions. Though Sclater's theory was intended as a scientific hypothesis to explain biogeographical anomalies, it quickly gained traction in both scientific and mystical circles. Over time, Lemuria became associated with more speculative ideas, eventually being merged with the myth of Mu, as people began to imagine a lost, advanced civilization hidden beneath the waves of the Pacific. What started as a scientific concept soon evolved into a broader, more mystical interpretation of human history, capturing the imaginations of those who saw it as a bridge between science and spirituality. Madame Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, played a pivotal role in popularizing Mu as part of her larger framework of spiritual evolution. Blavatsky's teachings, which blended Eastern and Western philosophies, included the idea that humanity had evolved through different root races, each race representing a distinct stage in spiritual and cultural development. She argued that Mu was the first root race, the original civilization that birthed human culture and wisdom. According to Blavatsky, Mu was not just a physical landmass, but a spiritual beacon, its people the first to discover the mysteries of the universe. She believed that the knowledge and teachings of Mu influenced all subsequent civilizations, including the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Hindus, shaping their religious and philosophical systems. In Blavatsky's view, the fall of Mu was not just a physical disaster, but a spiritual one, with its survivors scattered across the globe to spread its teachings, thus laying the foundation for the world's great religions. Her work connected Mu to a broader narrative of human evolution, linking the lost continent to the very essence of human spirituality and our journey toward enlightenment. Several early proponents built on Blavatsky's theories, weaving their own interpretations into the growing mythology of Mu. Augustus Le Plongeon, an amateur archaeologist, linked the ancient Maya civilization to Mu in Atlantis, arguing that the Maya were the descendants of Mu's survivors. Le Plongeon's work was groundbreaking in some respects, as he argued that the Mayas' advanced culture and knowledge were the result of teachings passed down from the lost civilization of Mu. According to Le Plongeon, Queen Mu, a central figure in his theory, had fled the sinking land of Mu and eventually founded Egypt. He believed that the architectural similarities between the pyramids of Egypt and those of Mesoamerica were evidence of this cultural diffusion. Le Plongeon's ideas were controversial and not widely accepted in mainstream archaeology, but they added a new dimension to the story of Mu, connecting it to the rise of one of the most enigmatic ancient civilizations The Maya. Louis Jacoliot, a French occultist and writer, took a different approach, proposing that Mu was linked to a place called Rudis, which he claimed was a precursor to both Mu and Atlantis. Jacoliot's ideas were rooted in the esoteric traditions of the time, and his work influenced movements like Rosicrucianism, which sought to uncover hidden spiritual truths. In his view, Rudis was an advanced civilization that predated the other lost lands, and its wisdom was passed down to later cultures, including those of Egypt and India. Jacoliot's theory built on the idea that Mu was not just a physical land, but a spiritual and cultural wellspring from which other great civilizations sprang. Like Le Plongeon's work, Jacoliot's theories were speculative and not accepted by mainstream scholars, but they contributed to the growing mythology of Mu as the source of ancient knowledge. In 1882, John Neubrow, an American spiritualist, added his own version of a lost land in the Pacific one he called Pan. In his book Ospa, A New Bible, Neubrow described Pan as a land that sank 24,000 years ago, long before the rise of recorded human history. According to Neubrow, Pan was the first civilization to explore the earth, and its people were the ancestors of modern humanity. He believed that the survivors of Pan's destruction spread out to form the various cultures of the ancient world. Neubrow's Pan theory was similar to Churchward's Mu theory in that it proposed a lost civilization whose influence spread globally, but it differed in its timeline and location. Neubrow's ideas, like those of Le Plongeon and Jacoliot, were part of a broader spiritual movement that sought to explain human history through mystical and esoteric lenses, rather than through the strict methods of archaeology and history. His theory, though not widely accepted, added another layer to the complex narrative of lost continents and ancient wisdom. By the early 20th century, James Churchward expanded on these earlier ideas, particularly the theories of Lemuria and Mu, shifting Mu's location to the Pacific Ocean and merging it with the Lemuria theory. Churchward's work built on the earlier ideas of Sclater, Blavatsky, Le Plongeon, Jacoliot, and Neubrow, but he gave Mu a more defined location, placing it in the Pacific Ocean, stretching across what is now considered the Ring of Fire. Churchward claimed that Mu was not just a myth, but the true origin of all human civilization, the birthplace of knowledge, culture, and spiritual wisdom. According to Churchward, the survivors of Mu's destruction spread out across the globe, carrying with them the advanced knowledge of their homeland, which eventually gave rise to the great civilizations of Egypt, Sumer, India, and the Americas. Churchward's popularization of Mu as a real historical place laid the foundation for modern interest in the lost continent, and his works, especially The Lost Continent of Mu, became the cornerstone of the Mu mythos. Through the contributions of these key figures, Sclater, Blavatsky, Le Plongeon, Jacoliot, Neubrow, and Churchward, the concept of Mu evolved from a scientific hypothesis into a full-fledged mythic narrative. What began as an attempt to explain natural phenomena like species distribution became a complex tale of ancient wisdom, spiritual evolution, and the search for humanity's true origins. Each theorist brought their own perspective to the story of Mu, shaping it into a narrative that continues to captivate the imagination of those who seek to understand the mysteries of the past. Whether Mu was a real place, a spiritual symbol, or a cultural myth, its story endures, drawing people from all walks of life into its web of intrigue and speculation. The origins of Mu, shaped by the contributions of these early thinkers, remain one of the most compelling and enduring mysteries of human history. The idea of a lost continent in the Pacific, like Mu, has been woven into the myths and legends of many indigenous cultures across the world. These stories speak of a time long ago when great civilizations thrived, only to be lost beneath the waves. From the ancient tales of the Polynesian peoples to the mystical traditions of the Maya, the notion of a submerged land, rich in wisdom and power, has been a part of human imagination for centuries. As people looked out at the vast expanse of the ocean, the question arose: what might lie beneath the surface, hidden from view but waiting to be discovered? These early inklings of a lost continent were shaped by the world's fascination with the unknown, and as the 19th century unfolded, they began to take root in the realm of scientific speculation. In the mid-19th century, new scientific discoveries ignited imaginations across the globe. Biogeographical anomalies, like the distribution of species such as lemurs, posed questions that could not easily be answered. How did certain species appear only in isolated regions, such as Madagascar and India? How could these species have traveled across vast oceans when no known land bridges existed? These puzzling questions inspired many scientists and theorists to speculate about the existence of lost continents, and one of the earliest and most influential ideas to emerge was Philip Sclater's theory of Lemuria. Sclater, a British zoologist, proposed that a once thriving landmass Lemuria must have existed between India and Madagascar to explain the distribution of species. Though Sclater's idea was originally a scientific hypothesis, it soon began to blend with ideas of ancient civilizations and lost lands, and thus the groundwork for Mu, as well as Atlantis, began to take shape in the minds of early thinkers. As the 19th century progressed, the idea of a lost civilization in the Pacific Ocean began to gain traction among explorers, archaeologists, and theorists. The age of exploration and colonization brought new perspectives on human history, as vast new territories were being discovered and ancient ruins uncovered. The fascination with lost civilizations became a hallmark of the intellectual climate of the time. Early explorers looking for new lands, ancient secrets, and clues to humanity's past began to connect the dots between the Pacific and the Indian Oceans, proposing that these distant regions might hold the key to understanding our shared origins. Mu, with its tropical paradises, advanced civilizations, and untold wisdom, began to take shape as a mythic land that could explain the mysteries of the world. It was James Churchward, however, who would take the concept of Mu and transform it into a widespread phenomenon. In the early 20th century, Churchward published his now famous work, The Lost Continent of Mu, 1926, which presented Mu as the true origin of humanity, a place where advanced knowledge and spiritual wisdom were first discovered. Churchward's work, built on his belief in the Nacl tablets, presented a radical shift in how people thought about human history. He argued that Mu was not just a lost land, but the motherland of humanity, a civilization far older and more advanced than any known culture. According to Churchward, the survivors of Mu's destruction spread across the globe, carrying with them the teachings and technologies of their homeland, which later influenced ancient civilizations like Egypt, Sumer, and the Maya. Churchward's theory turned Mu into not just a myth, but a key to understanding humanity's true origins, and with his work, the story of Mu began to resonate far beyond the academic circles into popular culture. However, Churchward's theories, particularly his claims regarding the Nacl tablets, sparked fierce debates. Critics argued that the evidence was unproven, and many questioned Churchward's methods, yet his ideas continued to capture the imagination of readers around the world. Churchward's work, while popularizing Mu, did not stand alone. Other early theorists, like Augustus Le Plongeon, added their own interpretations to the growing mythos of Mu. Le Plongeon, an amateur archaeologist, believed that the Mayans were directly connected to Mu, claiming that Queen Mu, a central figure in his theory, had fled the sinking continent of Mu and founded Egypt. Le Plongeon's writings, particularly Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, 1896, were groundbreaking for their time, suggesting that the Mayan civilization and ancient Egypt shared a common origin in the lost land of Mu. Le Plongeon's work tied Mu to the ancient world, suggesting that the survivors of its destruction were the ones responsible for the rise of these great civilizations. His ideas, though highly speculative and not accepted by mainstream archaeology, continued to influence later generations of theorists who sought to connect Mu to other ancient cultures. Similarly, Louis Jacoliot, a French occultist, integrated Mu into his own spiritual teachings, linking it with the ancient mysticism of the East. In his works, Jacoliot connected Mu to Rutus, another lost civilization that he claimed influenced both Atlantis and Lemuria. Jacoliot's blending of mysticism, spirituality, and speculative history added another layer to the story of Mu, suggesting that the continent was not only a physical place, but also a source of profound spiritual knowledge that shaped human history. His theories influenced secret societies like the Rosicrucians and other esoteric traditions, which saw Mu as a symbol of ancient wisdom that was now lost but waiting to be rediscovered. Meanwhile, John Neubrow, in his 1882 work, Osp, A New Bible, proposed his own version of a lost continent in the Pacific called Pan, which sank over 24,000 years ago. Neubrow's work, though less well known than Churchward's, contributed to the growing interest in ancient, sunken lands and civilizations. In his narrative, Neubrow claimed that the survivors of Pan's destruction spread across the world, founding new civilizations and spreading their knowledge, much like Churchward's theory of Mu. Neubrow's addition of Pan to the mythos of lost lands further solidified the idea of a global network of ancient civilizations that were connected by a shared origin in the lost continents of the Pacific and Atlantic. As the 20th century unfolded, the myth of Mu began to integrate with the broader currents of mysticism, occultism, and popular culture. Mu became not just a concept in ancient history, but a central theme in the growing New Age and spiritual movements of the time. Theosophy, spiritualism, and other mystical traditions saw Mu as the first root race, a spiritually advanced civilization whose knowledge was passed down through the ages. Madame Blavatsky, one of the leading figures of Theosophy, embraced the idea of Mu as the birthplace of human wisdom, integrating it into her spiritual framework that connected humanity's evolution to the mysterious forces of the universe. Blavatsky's teachings, which combined Eastern and Western philosophies, spread the idea of Mu across the globe, influencing generations of thinkers and spiritual seekers. Mu's place in the imagination of the public only grew as the century progressed. The idea of a lost, advanced civilization began to capture the cultural imagination, inspiring works of fiction, films, and even UFO theories. Theories of extraterrestrial beings, ancient astronauts, and otherworldly influences on early civilizations often linked their origins to Mu. The 20th century saw the rise of new interpretations of Mu, from its supposed connection to UFO sightings to its role in explaining ancient technologies that seemed too advanced for their time. The mystery of Mu, once confined to the realms of pseudoscience, began to permeate popular culture, feeding the collective imagination and fueling the quest for answers about humanity's ancient past. Today, the legacy of Mu continues in spiritual and alternative history movements. The search for Mu remains a popular subject in pseudo-scientific communities, with online forums and groups dedicated to discussing the lost continent's place in human history. New theories continue to emerge, connecting Mu to modern ideas of human origins, extraterrestrial influences, and spiritual enlightenment. As humanity continues to seek its place in the vastness of the universe, the allure of Mu remains as strong as ever, a symbol of lost wisdom and the enduring quest for truth. Reflecting on the history of Mu reveals much about human curiosity and the search for meaning. The enduring fascination with Mu speaks to our deep desire to uncover the mysteries of our past, to understand where we come from and what we can learn from civilizations that once thrived. Mu represents not just a lost land, but a mythic vision of human potential, an idealized past that captures the imagination and offers a glimpse into what could have been. Whether real or imagined, Mu's place in history is a testament to the human spirit's unquenchable thirst for knowledge, wisdom, and discovery. Mu has long been conceptualized as the foundation of all human knowledge, both technological and spiritual. This lost continent, often described as the motherland of humanity, is said to have been the birthplace of the wisdom that shaped the course of civilization. The idea that Mu was the cradle of both advanced technology and profound spiritual insight forms the heart of its myth. According to Churchward and other theorists, the people of Mu had mastered the sciences such as astronomy, mathematics, and engineering well before other known civilizations. More than just a physical landmass, Mu is seen as a symbol of lost knowledge, containing the secrets to the universe and the forces that govern it. This foundational idea of Mu suggests that the great civilizations that followed, Egypt, Sumer, the Maya, and even the cultures of the Americas, were all influenced by the wisdom carried from Mu's survivors, who spread the seeds of civilization across the world. The belief that Mu is the source of all human knowledge elevates it beyond mere myth, proposing that the land holds the key to humanity's intellectual and spiritual potential. Churchward's theory centered on the belief that Mu was the birthplace of all known human civilizations and their knowledge systems. He argued that the survivors of the great catastrophe that destroyed Mu carried with them the advanced knowledge of their homeland, sparking the creation of the world's first civilizations. These survivors are said to have spread to Egypt, India, Sumer, and the Americas, each carrying pieces of Mu's wisdom that would form the foundations of agriculture, writing, governance, and spiritual practices. Mu is seen as the cradle of these early human advancements, with its people not only developing sophisticated technology, but also laying the spiritual and intellectual groundwork for all future civilizations. According to Churchward, the agricultural techniques, mathematical systems, and astronomical knowledge that arose in these ancient cultures all trace back to Mu, making it the true origin of humanity's cultural and intellectual heritage. Mu's spiritual and religious legacy is also a central aspect of its myth. According to Churchward, Mu's religion was monotheistic, with a focus on the sun god Ra, the god of life and light. Ra, who is said to originate in Mu, became a key figure in the spiritual systems of ancient Egypt, and his influence is said to have spread to other cultures across the world. The concept of reincarnation and the belief in soul perfection were central to Mu's spiritual teachings, and these ideas found their way into the religious systems of Egypt, India, and the Americas. The teachings of Mu, as preserved in the Naql tablets allegedly discovered by Churchward, are said to contain the sacred wisdom of this lost civilization, offering insights into the nature of the universe and the path to spiritual enlightenment. These spiritual beliefs, based on the principles of cosmic order and personal transformation, were passed down to the civilizations that arose after Mu's fall, leaving a lasting spiritual imprint on humanity. In terms of technological advancement, Mu is credited with achieving feats far beyond what later civilizations were able to accomplish. From the construction of massive pyramids to the understanding of celestial mechanics, the people of Mu are said to have possessed knowledge that would take humanity thousands of years to rediscover. The myths surrounding Mu suggest that its people had the ability to harness natural forces and cosmic energy, manipulating the very fabric of the universe for both practical and spiritual purposes. Churchward's theories on cosmic forces portray the inhabitants of Mu as not only scientists, but also spiritual masters who understood the invisible forces of the cosmos and used them for the betterment of their society. This advanced knowledge of energy in the cosmos is said to have been passed down to later civilizations, influencing everything from the construction of monumental architecture to the development of spiritual practices that sought to tap into the same cosmic energies. The influence of Mu on global symbols and archetypes is another fascinating aspect of its myth. The pyramid, the swastika, the sun, and many other sacred symbols are said to have originated in Mu, spreading across the globe as its survivors established new civilizations. These symbols, which have deep spiritual significance, are thought to represent the advanced knowledge of Mu, carrying with them the teachings of the lost continent. The pyramid, for example, is seen as a representation of cosmic order and spiritual ascension, a symbol that was later adopted by ancient Egypt, Mesoamerica, and other cultures. The swastika, once a symbol of prosperity and balance, appears in cultures around the world, from India to Native American tribes, further connecting these distant civilizations to the lost wisdom of Mu. These symbols, embedded in the art and architecture of the ancient world, serve as reminders of Mu's influence, creating a unified spiritual and cultural language that spanned continents and civilizations. Mu's connection to ancient mystical teachings cannot be overlooked. From theosophy to the secret societies of the Rosicrucians, Mu has been adopted as a symbol of hidden wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. Spiritual movements, particularly in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, embraced Mu as the first root race, the original civilization whose spiritual and esoteric knowledge provided the foundation for the world's great mystical traditions. Theosophy, led by figures like Madame Blavatsky, placed Mu at the center of its teachings, linking the lost continent to the greater spiritual evolution of humanity. The blending of Mu with other esoteric concepts, such as Atlantis and Lemuria, further solidified its place in the occult, where it became a symbol of humanity's potential for spiritual awakening and enlightenment. For those in these mystical traditions, Mu is not just a lost land, but a spiritual paradigm, a reminder of a time when humanity lived in perfect harmony with the cosmos. The influence of Mu's advanced knowledge extends into modern science and philosophy. The ideas about Mu's technological and spiritual advancements have shaped early scientific thought, particularly in fields like anthropology, archaeology, and even astronomy. The notion that ancient civilizations may have possessed knowledge far beyond their time, especially in the realms of energy and the cosmos, has inspired many thinkers to reconsider the origins of human knowledge. The parallels between Mu and modern discussions of lost knowledge, particularly in the context of extraterrestrial influence, continue to spark debates in the realms of both science and pseudoscience. The idea that Mu's survivors may have influenced ancient cultures through advanced technologies raises intriguing questions about humanity's potential and our understanding of the universe. Whether viewed as a symbol of ancient wisdom or a metaphor for humanity's future, Mu continues to inspire those who seek to unlock the mysteries of the universe and understand our true origins. Mu, both as a historical and spiritual concept, remains a symbol of lost knowledge and human potential. The quest for Mu represents humanity's enduring desire to discover greater truths about our past, our present, and our place in the cosmos. As both a historical enigma and a spiritual ideal, Mu challenges us to question the boundaries of human knowledge, to seek out the wisdom that may have been lost over time, and to consider the possibility that the ancient world held secrets that can still guide us today. The myth of Mu, whether grounded in reality or in the realm of myth, continues to captivate our collective imagination, offering a vision of humanity's greatest potential and the promise of rediscovering a lost world of wisdom and enlightenment. Mu stands at the intersection of science, history, and mythology, a concept that blends speculative theory with legend. For some, it represents a lost civilization once, a highly advanced society that influenced the course of human history. For others, it is a mythic land that embodies humanity's search for its origins and the secrets of the ancient world. The quest for Mu, like the quest for Atlantis and Lemuria, taps into a fundamental human desire to discover the lost knowledge of a forgotten civilization. Yet, as we examine Mu's story, we must navigate the fine line between science and speculation, understanding how the myth was born and why it continues to capture the imagination. The search for Mu is not just about uncovering a lost continent, but about exploring the boundaries between history, science, and the myths we create to make sense of our past. The geological and archaeological perspectives on Mu present critical challenges to the belief in its existence. Geologists argue that the idea of a submerged continent in the Pacific is geologically implausible. The Earth's tectonic plates move slowly, at a rate of a few centimeters per year, which makes the sudden sinking of a massive continent in the manner described by the Mu theory impossible. The Pacific Ocean's geological makeup shows no evidence of a large submerged landmass, and there are no signs of tectonic activity or sudden geological shifts that would have caused the rapid sinking of Mu. Furthermore, no physical evidence of Mu has ever been found, no artifacts, no ruins, no remnants of an advanced civilization. The absence of any archaeological or geological traces leaves the idea of Mu unsupported by the disciplines that seek to uncover humanity's ancient past. Without tangible evidence, the idea of Mu remains speculative, driven by myth and the desire to explain the unexplainable. Examining ancient flood myths offers another layer to the Mu story. The story of Mu's destruction by a great flood mirrors myths found in cultures across the world, from the biblical tale of Noah to the Mayan Popol Vuh to the Hindu story of Manu. These stories have been interpreted by some as evidence of a singular, catastrophic event, perhaps the destruction of Mu. However, many scholars argue that these myths are more likely cultural expressions of natural disasters that occurred independently across the globe. Flood myths are common because they represent a universal human experience, the memory of a natural disaster that wiped out civilization and created the need for a new beginning. Whether these myths have a kernel of historical truth or are purely cultural storytelling is a matter of debate. While they may have been inspired by actual geological events, there is no concrete evidence linking these myths to a specific historical event like the destruction of Mu. The relationship between ancient flood stories and Mu remains speculative, based more on interpretation than hard evidence. The role of Mu in the development of pseudoscience is crucial to understanding how it became such a powerful cultural idea. As the 20th century unfolded, Mu became a cornerstone of pseudoscience and fringe theories, often used as a way to explain anomalies in human history, biology, and archaeology. Figures like Churchward, Lee Plongeon, and others turned Mu into more than just a theoretical concept. They transformed it into a mythic narrative that blended speculative science, mysticism, and esoteric knowledge. Churchward's theory of Mu as the original source of human civilization, along with his ideas of cosmic forces and spiritual evolution, turned Mu into a symbol of lost wisdom that once connected humanity's spiritual and technological progress. While these ideas lacked scientific evidence, they resonated with a growing interest in ancient civilizations and alternative history, and they provided an alluring alternative to conventional historical narratives. Mu's role in pseudoscience is significant, as it continues to fuel the belief in lost civilizations and ancient wisdom that has not been verified by mainstream science. The search for Mu has evolved significantly with advancements in archaeology, geology, and anthropology. Early investigations relied on speculative theories and unproven claims, but as scientific methods advanced, the search for Mu became more grounded in the techniques of modern archaeology. Underwater archaeology, remote sensing technologies, and advanced geophysical methods have allowed scientists to investigate submerged sites in unprecedented detail, but the search for Mu remains speculative. Today, scientists approach the question of lost civilizations with a more rigorous methodology, testing claims against the available evidence and rejecting theories that lack empirical support. Unlike Mu, real submerged lands like Zealandia, which sank gradually over millions of years, offer tangible geological evidence of their existence. Zealandia's submersion was a gradual process that leaves behind traces of its past, unlike the sudden and dramatic disappearance of Mu as described in Churchward's theories. The difference between Zealandia's submersion and the myth of Mu underscores the challenges of proving the existence of a lost continent that never left behind verifiable evidence. The cultural and historical impact of the Mu myth is far-reaching, influencing public perceptions of ancient civilizations and the quest for lost knowledge. The idea of Mu as the source of all human wisdom has shaped how many view the development of early cultures, and their knowledge systems. Mu's mythos has permeated popular culture, from fiction and films to spiritual movements and New Age beliefs. It has influenced everything from the portrayal of ancient civilizations in movies to the rise of alternative history movements that challenge conventional archaeological theories. The psychology behind the continued belief in Mu is deeply rooted in humanity's desire for answers to existential questions about our origins, our destiny, and the possibility of lost wisdom that could change the course of human history. The emotional and cultural appeal of Mu is undeniable, as it provides a narrative of hope, mystery, and the promise of discovering greater truths about our past. Modern investigations into the possibility of submerged ancient civilizations offer new frontiers in archaeology and science. As underwater archaeology and remote sensing technologies advance, scientists are able to explore the depths of the ocean in search of lost sites and civilizations. These technologies offer the potential to uncover evidence of ancient human settlements beneath the ocean, but the search for Mu remains speculative. While discoveries like the Yonaguni Monument in Japan and the submerged cities of the Caribbean have captured the imagination, they do not offer the hard evidence needed to support the existence of Mu. The idea of a lost civilization like Mu remains just that, a tantalizing possibility that continues to inspire alternative history movements, but without scientific backing. Despite these advances in technology, Mu's existence as a lost land remains unproven, and modern science approaches it with skepticism, balancing the allure of discovery with the need for concrete evidence. Revisiting Mu through the lens of modern science and mythology reveals much about the intersection of human curiosity and the quest for knowledge. Mu exists at the crossroads of myth and history, a cultural symbol of lost wisdom that has captivated minds for centuries. The story of Mu endures because it taps into something deep within the human psyche, the desire to uncover the unknown, and the hope that humanity's origins hold secrets yet to be discovered. Whether viewed through the lens of science or myth, Mu represents a bridge between our past and our future, a symbol of what could have been and what may still be out there waiting to be found. The quest for Mu continues to resonate because it reflects our unrelenting drive to understand ourselves, our history, and our place in the universe. Despite the lack of evidence, Mu remains a compelling story, inspiring both critical inquiry and a sense of wonder in those who seek to unlock the mysteries of the world. The story of Mu endures because it speaks to our deepest yearnings for truth, discovery, and the possibility of a lost civilization waiting to be uncovered.